Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Lizzie. I'm glad to be back with you. I know it's been a few days, but it's the holiday season and I just got sucked into spending time with people and watching holiday movies. So here I am, back in the flesh. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all feeling good. I hope you're all ready for Christmas. I am not. Honestly, wasn't really feeling the Christmas vibe this year because my grandma isn't going to be out of the hospital in time for Christmas. So this is going to be the first time ever in my life that I haven't had a family Christmas Eve party at grandma's house. So the whole thing is just off to me. I don't like it. I am going to visit my dad on Christmas Eve, and my cousin Jenny is having a couple of us at our house because, like me, she's like, what the fuck, we can't not do nothing. Just because, we can't even go see grandma either because of the COVID rules, so we're not gonna see grandma at all for Christmas. It's messed up. So I'm gonna go have brunch with my dad on Christmas Eve, do our Christmas, and then go to Jenny's, my cousin, after that. And then Christmas morning, all I'm doing is going to my nephew's house and watching him open his presents because he's the only little one we have. I didn't even put my tree up this year. I only decorated my studio. That was it. I was done. Over it. I'm over this year. It's been the worst Christmas. We were all waiting for funding information. Looks like we're getting some, but when, I don't know. So at least we're not as stressed out. Well, some of us aren't as stressed out. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Let's get to it. We're doing a past life reading. Why do you need to know about your past life? Because learning about your past life will help you evolve karmic lessons and be a better person. Maybe you're going to find a lot of similarities between this life and the life you're hearing about, which means you haven't completed karmic lessons yet in your soul. So learning about your past life teaches you something, and I'm not doing anything pre-drawn. I'm doing it all live for you. It is pick a pile, even though I'm doing it live. And I guess I'm in the Shamrocky mood because it's all Shamrock. But they are stuff that I normally put on my Christmas tree, so I guess it counts, right? Christmas is shitty this year for everybody, no matter what way you slice it. So I'm spicing it up a little. Pile 1 is my Shamrock bell ornament. I got this for Christmas one year because I collect Shamrock stuff. So this is pile 1, Shamrock Lucky Bells. Pile 2, what did I pick for pile 2? Is the other Shamrock ornament I have. Very pretty, very shiny. It's actually glass. I got this as a Christmas present as well one year. And pile number 3 is what I wear on St. Patrick's Day. It's actually a hair clip. A Shamrock hair clip. I used to have 2, but I'm down to 1. I don't know where the other one is. So pile 1 is Shamrock bell. I just like doing this. Pile 2 is Shamrock ornament. And pile 3 is the hair clip. So if you need to go back and pause and look at them some more, do that. And we'll get right into pile 1. In just a second, I need a drink of my cucumber water. Which, yes, again, fruit infused, or, well, in this case, vegetable infused water. I live off of cucumber water. I could chug it. It's so delicious. And orange water. I like orange water too. Not a fan of lemon water. It's too sour for me. I don't like it. Anyway, be right with you, pile number 1. Maybe. This thing never works, ever. Hi, pile 1. You picked the Shamrock bell. Sounds like an old school dinner bell, doesn't it? Okay. I'll stop annoying you now. Alright, so, like I said, this is going to be all pre-drawn. So bear with me. I did pre-shuffle them, but I will shuffle them once for you just because. So let's get some precog stuff. What cards are going to come out? Mother, travel, and persecution. Let's see. I draw the most. Ooh, hello. My baby came out. I'm getting close. Mother, persecution card, and travel. That's what I'm getting for you. Ooh. Oh my God. All the places are coming out for you. Like I said, I draw the most from these. Yeah, you're from everywhere. Yeah. Where are you not from, according to this spec? This is the most places I got in one reading. Maybe you were a nomad, just moved around a lot. Literally every single place you could be from, you've got in your spread. You're a mover and a shaker. Ooh. What did I say? Persecution, travel, and mother. Literally another place. Oh my goodness. Huh? Persecution. Not that that's ever a happy card. Transportation. What else was the other one? Mother. I'm just going to get a few more. Might come up later in your other cards. Well, now we know how. That's good. One. Ooh. Okay, I'm not going to take all those. I feel like that was an accident. I'm going to do it a few more. Holy shitballs. We got father. I'm not going to take them all. Too many. Two more, Spirit. Father came out again. Maybe you were a mother because you had baby. One more, Spirit. Okay, so mother didn't come out, but I think it's because you are a mother. Wow, in this life anyway. Whew, I can't put them too far away. I need them for the other pots. All right, let me just start with all these places you've been for them, and we'll get such a small space. This tells me the most about your life. All right, so literally you got Atlantis, Native American, Galactic, Greco-Roman, Asia, Egypt, and Celtic. But let me back up. I don't feel like these are all places you are from. They're giving me clues, so I'm setting aside certain ones to talk about later. So Atlantis and Galactic, to me, you were a starseed in this life, which means you are in this life. I would highly suggest looking into what a starseed is. I don't like to force my beliefs down your throat. You have Greco-Roman, Egypt, and Asia. I feel like I said you were a little bit of a nomad and you traveled in between these 3 places most of your life. I feel like you were born in Asia in the Greco-Roman time period and you moved to Egypt, if that makes sense. So your birthplace to me was Asia, that's what I'm getting, but you lived most of your life in Egypt during the Greco-Roman time period. And we have Native American because we have medicine woman. To me, that just means you were a shaman of some kind, or you were raised by shamans in Asia. Set that aside. All right. I feel like you were very close to your father. I feel like you were orphaned as a baby, though. But I also feel like you had a baby. So this is like a 2-for-1 deal. I feel like mother came up in my head because you never knew your mother. But you became a mother yourself. You were very close to your father. But I feel like your father was a knight. With this Celtic card here, I just feel like he went to war a lot. He was always gone at war. Even though you were very close to your father as a young child, he gave you up when you were small to go away and be a knight because you lost your mother. I'm going to leave baby on the board, but I feel like you were orphaned probably around that age or a little bit younger. I feel like your mother died giving birth to you, if that makes sense. Maybe your mother was the shaman. You probably learned the shaman-like tendencies from your mother's side of the family. You were raised in Asia. So we have transportation and ships. You went to Egypt by ship because you were a slave here. Alright, so let's see. You do have High Priestess, so I feel like you were gifted in your life, and I feel like your mother was also gifted. Your mother was a healer, which you also were, but that came later, so I'm going to leave it on the board. You went to Egypt as a slave. You were very hungry, you were starving, you did something bad, which got you in trouble, probably stealing food, I'm hearing. Like, not anything that's horrific. I don't feel like you killed anyone. And I also feel like they were savvy to the fact that you had some gifts here. You were arrested. They took you in. Authority figures arrested you. You were up for death. Stealing at that time, like, you either got your arm cut off or, the sentencing was horrific and extreme. So you were set to die, but you were pardoned. You did get forgiveness in some sense. You learned your lesson from this, or they felt you learned your lesson. Alright, so because you were arrested, also communal living in Egypt when you went to Egypt, because you were a slave and poor, you lived in a poor area here. I feel like in order to save yourself, you probably went more of a church route, but you were very religious in it. This was a time when there was many gods, a god for everything. You were already savvy to that stuff and tuned into that stuff because you heard about your mother your whole life. So we have here, you took some vows. You were somebody who worked with the gods or in some kind of church, religious group. You could have taught. You had a lot of trust and faith in the divine and your connection to spirit. You probably were a medium. You had otherworldly knowing. You could communicate with the dead here. You were definitely a monk or a nun for your time. I feel like you were female, so you were probably, they literally called you a priestess, somebody who talked to the spirits. Angels, you had guides here. You were able to communicate with the dead. You, again, spirituality and religion. You were a psychic medium. You could predict things. You also channeled, like I do with my deceased loved ones, for other people. People trusted and believed in you. I'm going to take communal living off because you were a slave, and I feel like you got out of slavery by being this high priestess working in the church after you were arrested. You did get an education with the church. I have scribe and writer and the arts, which brought you finances. I feel like you made money writing plays, writing scriptures of some kind, like doing early fortune telling, all that. You ended up making some money and getting out of the poor area of life. I don't feel like you were a scribe. I feel like you were a writer with the arts. You were very artistic. You probably wrote about spirituality, and people would buy your works. You were married. You have male-female spouse, but we have a karmic relationship. Love life was very vital to your life. We'll get some more on these. So I'm leaving love life, karmic relationship, baby, spouse. I'm going to put male-female back. You were a female, I feel like, in this life. Let's see some more about what you did in your life for a living. Pile 1. What did they do in their life, Spirit? Healer came flying right out, just like your mother. You were probably a herbal healer. You probably made some teas. Yeah, helped people get better. Ooh, your scrolls are probably early medical books. You wrote early medical scrolls on how to heal with herbs and flowers to make people feel better. Early doctor you were. That's it. Hello. You had a career change, yes. You went from being a slave into working with the church and being a doctor. I wonder where the arts comes in. Writing, again, referencing that you were writing. Trusted the spirit in your communication. You talked to the dead on how to heal. Children were a very big part of your life, so I'm going to put that above baby and leave it. You had children. You also probably cured and worked with children. You were a medium with the sensitivity. Psychic medium, exactly. You had psychic here pretty much, and this is medium empath. Very gifted in this life. You worked with animals as well. You had, not only did you have a gift with children, but I feel like you could communicate with animals. Maybe you were an early vet as well. Animals were important. You're on the right path and heart's desire. You always followed your heart. You always spoke from the heart. You were very believable and very trustworthy. Good stuff. Let's see how people who worked with you felt about you. What was your personality like? How did people see you? Golden egg. They saw you as somebody very spiritual, very powerful. And in this time, God's and was everything. Everything was to prepare for your death, pretty much. Turtle. Woohoo! Cosmic connection. Again, referencing you were very gifted to them. But somebody who was very guarded. Very protected by spirit. I don't feel like you were somebody who was easy to get to know. Not that you were like snobby or wanted to stick to yourself. But yeah, eagle. You were able to see things clearly or coming ahead. I'm hearing like bird's eye view. You could see not only the bigger picture and things, but see things that haven't happened yet. You were psychic. Also, nobility. Ooh, with this dragon. You had a twin flame. That's why love life is important here. You had a great purpose with the lover. Gazelle, you were very elegant. I feel like you stride through life pretty well. You also move pretty fast. Buffalo, you were protective. You protected people. People felt safe with you. And Firefly, light worker, people thought you were the good side of spirit. They trusted with that when they went to you for like healing or spiritual advice. You were a direct source to the spirit. Elk, you would defend people. Again, with this buffalo and elk, you were very protective of people you loved. You're very protective of people who needed you. And you're very protective of your beliefs. One foot down. Hyena, very silly, very playful, but also referencing you not only were good, but you also, because you were so defensive, you had a tough side too. You weren't afraid to bring out those claws to protect people. Raccoon, a good thief, I'm hearing. You could have been like some kind of Robin Hood, like steal from the rich, give to the poor. Raccoons are very smart and they're very good at scavenging. You knew how to survive. Nightingale, you were a voice to spirit. People thought you spoke directly to the gods. You had a tough sting though. Like you were very protective, but you weren't afraid to take out people who needed to be taken out, who were there to hurt people. Let's get some more details. What were you like? What was your character like? Blame. You got a lot of blame in your life. Like, because you were somebody who they felt spoke to the gods, like, now, remember, this is very early times, so if there was like an earthquake or a really bad thunderstorm or a flood, they thought that it's because you didn't communicate well or that you did it because they were angry at what you did. But you had perseverance. Also blamed for stealing a lot, but I feel like you really did steal from the rich and give to the poor in the sense of food. You were determined to survive, and you did. You had a lot of friends. You were very trusted. People loved and adored you. You had a lot of grief in your life. You did lose a lot of people. This karmic relationship, I feel like you had someone in your life that you love very much that died. You lost your mother. You lost your father when he orphaned you to go be a knight. You had a lot of fear. Abandonment issues was very big for you. You had a great purpose. You were a healer. And the person you did end up marrying, you did have a twin flame here. Anything else? Yeah, you spent your life in service, healing people, helping people. You had a lot of doubt about yourself and your gifts, though, even though other people believed in you. You weren't sure if you would be able to heal people, if you'd be able to give them advice. You had a lot of self-doubt because you were abandoned, and that beat up your self-esteem a lot. You grew a lot in this life. You learned a lot of difficult lessons. But at the end of the day, you always trusted your gut and you trusted spirit and what they told you. Let's get a few more cards. What else do we need to know about this person's past life? Universal Christ. Exactly. You were a medium. You were able to speak to the gods, and they spoke to you. Yeah, you transformed. You went from somebody very lost, very broken, very alone, to somebody who is very strong, very powerful, very protective, and very good for the world. It's not like you did bad things. You had a fear of intimacy, letting people in because you were abandoned. But once you let them in, you love them for life. The secret. Let me set that aside. It'll tell us more. Ooh, okay. So how you did your job, you kept a secret. How you communicated to spirit. Some of the things you saw, you didn't. I feel like you had a relationship before you were married, which back then was a big no-no, especially if you were a female. You kept the fact that you weren't a virgin when you married a secret. As well. God wanted to flip up as well. You were very powerful. You had a big purpose. You were very protected. Your perception wasn't always right, as far as because you were scared of abandonment issues, you would push people away sometimes. But you were able to see what was coming. You did warn a lot of people. Oof, Mother Mary, that's what I saw. You were very compassionate, especially with women. The prophet. You were a fucking prophet. I couldn't explain it any better. You were healing people. But I feel like Spirit taught you how to heal. It's not like anybody taught you how to use herbs and magic, but you did. And you healed people with that, with your natural gifts. You probably were an early witch. Did something big in history in your life. I feel like you taught a lot about curing diseases. I heard maternity, carrying babies so that people wouldn't be like your mother and lose babies or die because of childbirth. Orphaned as a child / teen. I am hearing child. So again, referencing you were orphaned by your father as a child when they went away to be a knight. You were the quiet one. You didn't speak much. Like you would with people that you really knew well, but you were very shy. You were a free thinker. You thought ways that could have got you killed. Maybe that's what the secret and the prophet was about. To go against the gods or go against churches in those times was a death sentence. But you were always a free thinker anyway. Suffered from disease or illness yourself. Maybe you cured yourself. Spoke many languages, obviously. You went to a lot of places. Never had your own children. Okay, so the baby came up because your mother died giving birth to you. And you also helped deliver a lot of babies. You were like early, what do they call them? I know what it is, but it's like, I'm drawing a blank. Midwife, early midwife. You got out of a very bad situation and beat the odds to survive. You were very good at being a survivor. You got out of being a slave, which not many people did. And being an orphan. Ugh, the bully and the prankster. So I feel like when you were younger, you were very angry. And you probably were very brutish and a bully, but later in your life, you learned from that. You were unlike anyone in your time, but it made you stand out in a good way. You influenced style and culture and society in your life. Wow. Little prophet. We have male and female on the back. I really felt like you were a female. Will tell us more. Medical doctor or nurse, exactly. You discovered a new trade, crop, or food. Maybe that's why flowers came up. You discovered a new plant that would heal people. You had to listen to a leader. That's what male is. You had a male leader. You were well educated from the smell. You were a conspiracy theorist. Why does the smell come up? Tell me more about the smell. I really feel like you're female. Oh my God. Lived in Asia, which came up earlier. You were very in love. Again with the knight. Knight came up again. Maybe you married a knight as well. Not many sexual partners or a virgin. No family, because you were orphaned. You changed careers. They're referencing again. You were murdered. Oh, shit. Only family. So no siblings. You were a bit of a troublemaker when you were a bully. You were in love when you married and had a happy home. I feel like you married this leader, this male guy. Anything else in this deck? That's crazy how it all comes together. All right, one more and we'll close it up. Anything else we need to know about your life? You were a sex addict. But they did say you didn't have a lot of partners. So I feel like you were just addicted to sex with your spouse, which isn't a bad thing. You were very in love. You traveled by train. Oh, I corrected me. Traveled by sea because train wasn't invented yet. You lived during Vietnam. Wow. Okay, let me back up the bus. Another life is coming through here. You also lived through Vietnam and traveled by train. We'll go with it. You and your spouse were royal or had power. You owned slaves and ruled entire countries. You were both good and bad, and you were grieved upon your deaths. Overall, you ruled well. Holy fucking shit. I think you married an Egyptian pharaoh. That makes sense? Worked in the science field. Again, referencing healer. I'm going to put that over here with your Vietnam. Why is Vietnam coming up? Totally different time periods. What does the back say? You didn't travel much or far and lived and stayed in one place. No, because that life you were all over. You had a killer smile. You had to face a very difficult enemy, and they nearly took you and all you had, including your life. But you outsmarted them, and you never lost faith. You prevailed over an evil enemy. This is Vietnam. Oh, whoa. POW-like situation, you escaped. Wow. That was probably your recent past life. So you got your oldest past life with your most recent past life coming on the table. Very fashionable, stylish in your life. I feel like that's both. Both lives you were like that. Maybe you're facing a difficult enemy and this is why you need to know that you won. Many people came to pay their respects at your funeral. You changed the world and history with your life's work. Well liked and trusted. This is your ancient life. You probably had a tomb. Alright, let's close it up. Oh, okay. Manly or jock? Male again. So maybe you were male. But I feel like this is talking about Vietnam. It landed right on there. Editor-in-chief. You chose love over money and success, and ended up more successful and rich than you ever have imagined. So both lives, you really, love was like your most important feature here. Editor-in-chief, you could have been a journalist in Vietnam. You suffered great pain and survived it. Talking about Vietnam, because you were a POW. You escaped a worker prisoner camp and took refuge in hiding or in neutral countries. You survived wars, conflicts against your people, but many others died, including your family. Holy fucking shit. Again, you were a POW in Vietnam and you lost a brother. Tyrant. Going back over here. So if you were like a pharaoh or something, some people loved you and some people thought you were a tyrant. You can't please them all. Suffered from illness and disease or a wound and died from it. I feel like that's your ancient. Drinker addict from Vietnam. You were grumpy when you came home. Professional and important job, upper class, dressed and lived well. Ninja, advanced fighting skills. So you were in recon. I feel like editor-in-chief to me was like you were given a specific task in Vietnam and you had to go get information. You ended up getting captured with your brothers. It doesn't have to be an actual brother, but they all died. Because of it, you had survivor's guilt and had a really difficult life. Very grumpy, drank a lot. That's crazy that 2 lives came out. Maybe they're warning you not to let drinking and becoming an addict ruin your life like maybe you did when you came home. But I feel like suffered from illness and disease in this sense. I am getting like cirrhosis of the liver vibe. Died fairly young, 50s. But you did survive the war. But I also feel like in your past life, the oldest one, you also died from a disease, which is ironic because you were a healer. But hey, we all gotta die from something. Maybe they're warning you to take better care of yourself. That's crazy that 2 lives came out in one reading. I don't think I've ever had that either. But I hope that was fun and helpful for you, pile number 1. We'll get right to pile number 2. I just gotta clean this up a little bit. Be right back, pile 2. Hi, pile 2. You picked the Christmas ornament. Super pretty. I love it. Alright, let me give this a shuffle. I did shuffle in between. I paused the video from pile 1, but I'll do it live for you so you can see. Let's get some precog. What's going to come out for you? Vows. Celtic. And persecution. That's what I'm getting. We'll see if it comes out. Vows, Celtic, and persecution. Monk or nun. Getting close. What did I say? Celtic, vows, and persecution. Celtic! Bam! It's too many. It's like half the deck. Someone put that. I hope that was an ornament. Vows. So we got vows, Celtic. What was the other one? Persecution. I get the most from this deck because this gives me the most details about your past life. This was like, I said these two right next to each other in pile one, and they came out for you. But here's the persecution card. So you got all three for yours. We got vows, persecution, and Celtic. Very good, Spirit. Very good. With the precog. Alright. Let me get this in order. So I'm making it a little sloppy. I'm gonna put this over here. This over here. Get a couple more. Wow. Alright. So, the time period for this past life we're going to be talking about is in biblical times. Very, very ancient, very, very old. Let's start with a little bit about where you were from. We have Asia, Egypt, and Celtic, and then communal living. To me, Celtic, it's going to come in later. I feel like I'm going to set that aside. But like pile one, I feel like you were born in Asia and spent most of your life in Egypt. We'll see where this Celtic comes in. We have mother. Could have had a sibling here as well. I feel like your mother had Celtic lineage or beliefs. I'm hearing Scotland. I feel like your mother was from Scotland. Your father was definitely Asian here. I feel like you lost your dad pretty young. They were a warrior, died in battle. And we have imprisonment or slavery. I feel like you were definitely a slave. Your mother was a slave. Okay, let me back up. So, your father died in battle here. Your mother was like a shaman, high priestess, very free thinker. The church took them for going against the church. They persecuted your mother, but I feel like you were pretty much well grown when this happened. Or at least early teen. You had most of your life with your mom, but your mother was persecuted for her beliefs. Authority figures are the ones that took them. You had a long, drawn-out court, which wasn't a very fair court in that time as well. You're very spiritual like your mother. You took vows. You were a part of a church here with this wisdom. I feel like you were also a shaman healer. So you took vows. Like this time period, I feel like you also had a lot of gods. Somebody who studied the gods. Spirituality and religion was a big part of your life. And your mother died for her beliefs. Because you were slaves with your mom, you grew up very hungry, very poor with this communal living. I feel like after your father died in battle, I feel like you left Asia here by ship, transportation, or you could have traveled back to Scotland with your mother and later went to Egypt. I'm feeling like that's what happened. You were born in Asia, communal living, your father was taken, went to war. Your mom went back to Scotland with you to raise you. And somehow Alright, they're correcting me here. You got taken by ship from Scotland to Egypt to be a slave. The Egyptians killed your mom. Obviously, you were from very different places, so your mom had more of a Celtic religion, shaman, and that went against the Egyptian church or order. You have lessons and blessings, finances, and the arts. I also have love life, karmic relationship, male-female. So you were in a male-female relationship that taught you a hard lesson. I'm leaving those on the board. We'll get more details. Lessons and blessings. I feel like you learned from your mother and what she went through about sticking up for her beliefs. She lost her life for it. So you joined the Egyptian belief, at least for a little while. I'm not sure yet if it was just to play a part or if you took yourself away from your mother's belief. But we have the arts and finances, so I'm leaving those on the table. We'll get some more. Alright, tell me more about what they did in their life. Pile number 2. What did they do in their life? Leadership. Artist, again with the arts. So you were a painter. Very artistic. Teaching here. Animals, and you're on the right path. So how you got out of slavery, you were a leader of some kind that the Egyptians liked about you. Teaching, you could have been an early spiritual teacher, teaching about the gods because you worked with the church. You're on the right path to getting out of slavery. The church was your answer. You could either go out and break your body being a slave, or you could convert and teach about their beliefs, which you did. You were an artist. You probably getting visions of somebody who worked in tombs, who did the artwork on like Pharaoh's walls, which would have made you very important. Animals. I feel like you had a special connection with animals. You believed in animal totems. I heard Anubis. So you were a public speaker as well. You could have been an early pastor. What else did they do in their life? Spirit, holy moly. Too many. What did pile 2 do? Okay. You had a career change. So I feel like you went from working in the church to being an artist. Builder, again working on tombs. Books, you were somebody who was educated. You could read. Reading was very important. You did a lot of research, which would help you build tombs. You're very strong. Strong spiritual belief. People thought you were a strong person, strong character. Family was important to you. Okay, so you were a spiritual teacher. They had teaching and now they have spiritual teachers. So you taught about the gods and goddesses. You spoke publicly about that. Maybe you also did artwork to explain religion to little kids. Because you had children again. You had to let go of your mother's beliefs and really transform into Egypt and what they believed. Let's get your personality. How did other people see you in this life? Cosmic snake, somebody with a great purpose, very spiritually inclined. Buffalo, very protected and protective of your artwork. I feel like you were somebody who wouldn't let people see it until it was done. Which I feel like this is where finances came into play. Once you went from speaking and working about in religion to actually painting, you made money off of your art. Changed your life. Nightingale, an elephant. You never forgot anything. You had a great memory. Also feel like you could connect with spirit, or you were so good at art, it was as if like the hand of God painted, I'm hearing. Could have been anyone like Da Vinci, anybody like that. Earthworm. It's like you came up out of nowhere. Like one day you were just a speaker, like pastor, and all of a sudden your work came out and people realized that you were an artist. Sorry, shaking the camera. It's like you came out of nowhere. You blindsided people in a good way. Butterfly, you transformed. You're somebody who went through a lot. You had great empathy and great pain that went out into your art, that moved people. You're very hardworking. You're passionate about what you did. Lizard, somebody who could blend in. You could live anywhere. You could work with anyone. You could survive anywhere. Whew, unicorn, very different. Unlike any, like a little bit of an oddball, but in the best sense for your time. Too many. Unicorn also to me is a starseed. So you were a starseed in that life, which means you are in this life as well. Like pile number 1, I would look into that. Horse. They thought you were very noble, very put together, like very beautiful. People think horses are beautiful creatures, so they felt you were a beautiful creature. Crocodile, you watched. It's like you watched and maybe you studied things and then that's how you were inspired. Like all I can see is like a crocodile with the 2 eyes coming out of the water. You could even been a spy of some kind. Bat, you were a night owl. People feel like you were very social and went out and did a lot of things, very present, but during nighttime. Oyster, you had a big purpose. You were the pearl. You were very gifted. Let's get some more details about your life. Yeah, you had great empathy for all you endured, for everything you went through, your life as a slave, losing your mom, being persecuted, your dad dying in war. It came out in your art. You had a lot of friends. You were very popular, well liked. Could have even been famous in your life. You had great success. Exactly, you're a very successful artist. You're very disciplined. Everything was about your art and your work. You were in denial about maybe some of your hang-ups. I do feel like you were a bit of a drinker, a bit of a party animal. You had a great imagination, which came out in your artwork. You survived. You could work through anything. You were that lizard. You came through a lot. You didn't let anything tear you down. But you were, with this indecision, I feel like they're taking us up to this love, male-female relationship. I do feel like you always felt protective of your art, and that love would get in the way. That if you found love, you would lose that torturous, artistic side of yourself. You're very unsure about love. You had a lot of regret about giving up what your mother believed and transforming, not being able to save your mother. You felt guilty that a lot of people that you came up with were probably still slaves and you were making money and changing your life, so you felt bad about your station. You did have a lot of pride, though. Because you came from nothing, you wanted to look good and wear the best and have the best and be invited to the best things and be popular. Health was an issue for you. You were very honest, almost to the point of being brutally honest. I feel like you did take care of yourself for the most part, except when it came to drinking and partying at night. Yeah, again referencing you had a big change. You were a slave. You came from nothing and up, rose out of the ashes to be somebody great, a great artist. Had butted my lantern again. What else do we have? Ooh, The Secret. You didn't like to show your work, or you didn't like people to figure out your inspiration in how you did things. You kept your artwork very secretive and very locked up. War and peace, again referencing, maybe you also saw a battle yourself. Maybe you did a lot of artwork about war, thinking about your father. Eternal embrace, again talking about empathy. You lacked a lot of love. Love was a tough subject for you. You never gave your heart fully. And I feel like you did give it to somebody with this love life, karmic, this is out, trust. A lot of people trusted you when you did let them in. But I feel like you did have a karmic relationship that kind of shook you up in a negative sense. I feel like when you finally did open up to love, it was very toxic here. Again, transformation, talking about coming from being a slave, losing your family, coming from nothing to being famous and getting paid a lot of money. God, you were very religious. Intimacy, you were very scared of this, but you painted about it a lot. It's like the one thing you wanted was true love and didn't really get the love you needed, so you would paint about it. Perception, exactly. Your perception of intimacy was most of your work here. And this time, like, sex was kind of taboo in biblical times. It was all like you had to be married, and I feel like you went very much against the grain, and your artwork was probably risque for the time. Gaia, very connected to Earth. Earth was your muse. Scenic views were your muse. Crucifixion. You never really forgave what they did to your mother, but a lot of your work was also religious workings. Probably painted people being persecuted, thinking about your mother. Universal Christ. Again, you were somebody very religious and had strong religious beliefs, which came out in your artwork. Let's get some more details about your life. You had twins. Oh, shit. You had twins, so you did have some love in your life. You went to jail or prison. So you were imprisoned as well. Maybe you were imprisoned with your mother. You loved your spouse. Okay, so this male, female, love life. You did end up getting married. You did end up having babies. I do feel like it conflicted with your work, though. You were cowardly. I feel like it stems from you went to jail or prison. You were scared of being persecuted like your mother, and because you escaped at once, you were petrified to get in trouble. And we have no kids. What's going on here? Slim, medium, weight. Please explain this. No kids. Maybe they had kids before they met you. Maybe they weren't your biological kids. You had advanced schooling as far as art and gods. You were a healer of some kind. Likes animals. Okay, so you had a lot of pets. That's where the animals came in. Oh my god, that's a totally different deck. It says union coming soon. Well liked and trusted by your peers. You escaped a worker prisoner camp and took refuge in hiding or in neutral countries. You survived wars, conflicts against your people, but many others died, including your family. Shit. So the worker prisoner was when you were a slave, you escaped. Hid in neutral countries. This is where Asia, Egypt comes in. I'm not sure which one. Whoever you were a slave for was fighting a war against other people. In the midst of that war and battle, because it did come up a few times in your reading, I thought it was your dad, but it could be you as well. You lost your entire family to this. Your mom might have been taken in the battle and killed in that sense, and that's where they got persecuted from for being a slave for the wrong side. You suffered great pain and survived it. You chose love over money and success and ended up more successful and rich than you could ever imagine. I definitely am getting like you married a widow. I'm still not sure if you're a male or female yet, but the widow had kids with somebody else, but you love them very much and you married them anyway, took those kids as your own, which is cute. It's a little confusing. You had twins and then no kids. Just means they weren't your biological children, but you did raise them. A cult member for the good, so you were a healer. Maybe you didn't totally give up your mother's beliefs after all. The freedom fighter. That's what you were arrested for, imprisoned. You did try to help free. Suffered illness, disease, injuries, but survived and overcame it. You were wounded and fighting for the freedom here. That's why you didn't really stand up too much after that. You saw a lot of people get killed. It's like freedom comes at a price that you weren't willing to pay. Any more? Making stuff around. Lots of enemy or haters were jealous of your art. You died fairly young. You had a dark humor. Spy secret society. I feel like that's why you died. You were being a spy for something. You were still being a freedom fighter, but you were more sneaky about it instead of being vocal because you got arrested and all this bad shit happened. You still wanted it to end. Oh, okay. They're correcting me. You died having no kids. Your twins came after you died. So you didn't know that you had twins until you died. You were murdered, but didn't get justice. So yeah. You were found out that you were spying and they killed you. I feel like before you could deliver information to your side, but your side vindicated your life because I feel like you were a famous artist, so your death didn't go unnoticed, if that makes sense. Very sad. So they were probably pregnant when you died. You felt real love and were happy in your life. You fought to free people from oppression and slavery. That's what you were spying. It gets more layered as we go. Middle class upbringing. Pioneer days. Like pile one, wait a minute. I feel like you have two lives coming in like pile number one. Okay, so biblical times you were killed, right? You were a spy. You did end up having love, marrying the person you loved. After you were killed, your twins were born here. Then we got pioneer days. You were from a middle class, and even then you were a freedom fighter. Maybe you're taking part in a lot of activism in this year, and they want you to know that this is just a part of your soul. You're always an activist of some kind. Changing careers for both lives here. You bounce around a lot as far as career goes. Had many siblings, but lost them young or as a young adult. That's in your pioneer days. Your second life on the table here. You had many friends. In both lives, you were a very popular person, well-liked, had a lot of charisma. You probably still do. Secret society in your pioneer days. So you were a spy in biblical times. You were in a secret society in pioneer days. You lived through wars in both your lives here. You could have even went to war in this life. You have a tomb or pyramid dedicated to you. Holy fucking shit. Remember what I said? Like you were some kind of artist? You did artwork on like pharaoh's tombs, and I feel like because you were such a respected person in ancient Egypt world, they gave you a tomb as well. You faced great adversity in your life and found very resilient and intelligent ways to overcome and rise above them all. That's both lives. You could have been a slave and died, or was a slave and was freed. That's in your ancient biblical times here. You were a slave that was freed, but you lost everybody in the process that you loved. You wrote a book or invented something. Pioneer days. You almost went to prison for life or executed, but were pardoned and escaped that fate. Biblical times. You were very good looking. Many people were attracted to you. Both lives. So you had a lot of friends, very popular, and were well liked. You had that celebrity factor about you. You had an arranged marriage in ancient Egypt, but you ended up loving them anyway. No, wait. They're correcting me. Arranged marriage in pioneer days. You were workaholic in both lives. Oh, dear. You were hung in pioneer days, so you escaped being killed and persecuted in biblical times, and then you were hung and died in pioneer days. Jesus. You have siblings. Siblings are prevalent across the board here. Risk taker in the pioneer days, which I feel like is why you were hung. You took too many risks. You were definitely more courageous and brave in your pioneer days life. In your pioneer days, you felt like you were a know-it-all. You lived in Europe for both of these lives. Wow, that's crazy. For the pile number 1 was the first time I had 2 lives come out in one reading. Now it seems like a theme. So everybody might be getting 2 life readings in one. That's kind of crazy. But I'm going to pause before we get into pile 3, clean this up, shuffle. I hope you enjoyed this pile number 2. I will see you next time. Love and light. Hi, pile 3. You picked the Shamrock hair clip. Super cute. All right, let's get right into it, shall we? I shuffled these. I paused it in between last one and this one, but I'll do it live. Let's get some precog going. Father card is going to come out. Spirituality and religion. And Asia. We'll see if we get them all. So, Father, Asia, and spirituality and religion. Asia, bam. Getting good, Spirit. I draw the most from this card, or this deck, because it tells me the most about your life here. So they say spirituality and religion and Father, right? Humor. Wait, shit. Father. I'm going to take that one. Too many was half the deck, but we finally got the Father card. See if any more come. Jesus. Alright. So we didn't get the spirituality and religion card, but I feel like they basically said that anyway, because we have High Priestess, Wisdom, Vows, Trust and Faith, and Angels. Alright. Just line these up just a little bit better here. Okay. So, from where you're from, this is in biblical times, so very, very old school. We have Asia and Egypt have come out in all three readings. Celtic, Galactic, Greco-Roman. I'm hearing Rome for this card. So wherever you lived, it was always communal living, which I feel like was pretty basic for all the places you were living in here. You bounced a lot. I feel like you were in trade. Galactic, to me, you were a starseed in that life, so you're a starseed in this life. I would look it up. So you bounced from Egypt, Asia, and Rome. You could have gone to Scotland as well, I'm hearing. And we got Native American and Medicine Woman. So you got a shaman on the board. We're not sure if it's you or someone else just yet. So we have Mother, Father, and Orphan. So you were orphaned. Both of your parents died. I do feel like one was hung by a tree here, unfortunately. We have imprisonment or slavery. I feel like both of your parents were taken. Okay, that makes more sense. So your dad was a knight. Or somebody very good at battle. So they pardoned your father but sent them to war. So you never got to see them again. They died in war. And your mother, that's where the forgiveness came. They were pardoned. Pardoned your father because they had use for him. So they basically sent him to be fodder on the front lines. And they ended up hanging your mother, unfortunately. Sorry, that's bad news. But we have food and hunger, finances, scribe, or writer. So that's going to talk about your love or your work life. You left on a ship. I feel like, again, you worked in trades. You could have made a lot of money in trades, going from place to place, selling goods, bringing goods back. Being a tradesman was definitely in your life. When you were an orphan, you were starving. Leaving or travel was a very big part. You didn't, I'll get that later. You didn't stay in one place very long because you were an orphan. But you also had here, you were a high priest or priestess, which means you had spiritual gifts of your own. You had a lot of phobias about this gift. You had a lot of otherworldly knowing. You were a unicorn to me. Again, referencing star seeds. Vows, trust and faith, and angels. You took vows to, and this time there's gods for everything. And you took vows in your church. So you were an early monk, nun type of thing. You could have wrote about religious things as well. I'm gonna leave Native American and Medicine Man on here because I feel like you were a little bit of a shaman, but I feel like we're gonna get some more about that. Because you bounce so much, I'm taking all the places off, but then you also have love life, unrequited love, baby, and spouse. So you were married. You did have a baby, so I'm going to leave all that on the board. We'll get some more about that. More about the shaman business. More about the scriber writer. Alright. What did you do in your life? Pile number 3. Creative expression. You were a writer. Again, referencing writer. Body work. So you were the healer. You could have learned this from your parents, how to heal with teas, how to be physically fit, how to preserve your body. Animals, you had a great love for animals. You might have even had some pets. You were a public speaker of some kind, probably about religion here. But I'm definitely getting more about your shaman work you spoke about because you have yoga. You were teaching people how to center themselves, how to meditate. You were the shaman here. With this creative expression, you practiced it a lot. You could have done sound healing, light and love. You were a light worker, which means you still are in this life. I would definitely look into that. I'm going to take the shaman stuff off because we found out it was you. What else? You helped people let go of grief and emotional trauma. Help them get zen with your healings and your teachings. Time to decide, oracle cards, and nutrition. So you definitely worked with teas and healing the body and helping people get better. You were an early fortune teller. You helped people decide what they were going to do, find their life purpose, which is beautiful. Alright, let's see how other people viewed you. Get a little bit of your personality. Lizard. People felt that you could adapt anywhere. You could fit in with anyone. Maybe you like to be in the shadows. Maybe you were a little bit of a wallflower as well. You were good at blending in. Dragon. Very big purpose. You could have had a twin flame as well. I'm going to put that up with your love life. I just thought you had a power about you if people could feel it. Really feel like you were early medicine worker, early witch. Earthworm. You changed, like early hippie, like you used the earth in your teachings. Somebody very connected to the earth. They saw you as someone very noble as well, with this lion. Someone not to cross or mess with. Crow. You paid attention to, with this animals, you maybe could have been warned by the crows, or people felt like you had a connection to animals for warnings. Octopus, you were very busy. You had your hands in a lot of pots. You knew how to do a lot of things. You had a lot of knowledge. Whale, very big purpose, very big help. Different, unique. Tiger, again with the nobility. Very prestigious. You were a predator if you wanted to be. Ooh, cobra. They were scared of you. Scared to cross you. And the oyster, you were like the pearl. Like somebody they didn't come across often. You were unique. Too many, Spirit. Here's one flipped up. Starfish. Starseed again. Again referencing they automatically assumed about you that you were connected to spirit. Cosmic snake, yeah. You were like a walking god to them. Walking angel, earth angel I'm hearing. You had a lot of empathy. You were a healer. You were able to empathize with a lot of people in a lot of situations. You created change. Taught people a new way of doing things. You were a mover and a shaker. You had a lot of success with your work. You had a lot of discipline. You were somebody who lived by your craft. Like, you meditated, you were very zen, you were very spiritual. You lived a very disciplined life to appease the gods and your gifts. You suffered a lot of grief. You lost your family. You overcame a lot of adversity. There were people always against you for your gift. You were always scared to lose your life for it. You were a free thinker. You brought people freedom to be themselves. Relationships were important to you. You loved very deeply, didn't want to be alone. You had a lot of gratitude even though you suffered. You were thankful. You were somebody who was very optimistic, saw the good side of things. You trusted your gifts. You trusted in the divine. Perseverance, yeah, you overcame a lot. You had a great imagination, which probably meant you were a writer as well. You had a good way of telling stories. Yeah, you suffered from loneliness. Loneliness was your biggest fear. You lost everybody, sense of abandonment. You didn't like being alone. You were a lover who loved love and life. Universal Christ, yes, very religious, very connected. Crucifixion. Felt you sacrificed a lot. You had to give up a lot in your life. War and peace. Always trying to, like in this time, there was countries at war with each other, families battling about power. You just wanted peace. You were trying to teach about the toxicity of war and what it does. Yeah, liberate it. You want to liberate people who are held down and suffering. You created a revelation on how we need to be better to ourselves and to people, which is beautiful. Eternal embrace. You are all about love. Acceptance. You're trying to get people to accept your way of doing things. You didn't go with, even though you knew a lot about religion, you started your own religion, if that makes sense, trying to get people to accept it. Little children, you were always trying to save kids because you were orphaned. You lost your family. Probably took in a lot of kids. You didn't want to be alone either. Love was what grounded you and rooted you and what your passion was. You loved life. You loved people, all different kinds of people. Yeah, we have color. You saw the beauty in everything. Glass half full instead of glass half empty. But you did have a lot of confusion. Like, I'm so religious and I spend my life, but why am I suffering so much? You definitely asked those questions a lot. So let's get some information about your life. High honors, rank, or knighted. So you were knighted as well. Could be a male here. Professional, important job, middle class, lived average but better than poor class, dressed and lived monetarily well. So once you had success, it's not like you were like a rich noble. You were very humble. You lived very humbly. People could say you were dark and moody, but I feel like this was more when you were a child, before you became enlightened and in tune with your spiritual gifts here. You had a lot to be sad about growing up. Ooh, you might have been a status chaser a little bit. You were well educated. You have science club, but I feel like to me you were always messing around with herbs and trying to heal people. You were a romantic. Maybe that's what your status chaser was. You were always looking for the best love. You were clingy because you didn't want to be alone. Status chaser had more to do, maybe you wanted a well-off spouse. You could have been a little vain and narcissistic. Wealthy, okay. This is who you let me go back to this karmic unrequited love. So you did love someone. I was like, why is this not making any sense? The person you married was a status chaser. They were very vain and narcissistic, and they had a wealthy upbringing. You were a romantic. You married them because you were in love, but they weren't really in love with you. They were playing you. They were dark and moody as well. You were a person who preached your religion, so you're trying to teach people. You had pets, because we has pets. There was law and order of some kind in your life, law enforcement or court. So I think this is like church. Church was the law of the land then. You were married. You were well known and adored by people of your time. That's why that person wanted to marry you. They were chasing your status and your success. Let's say it. You have a tomb or pyramid dedicated to you. Holy shit. You were of great importance in Egypt. Religious and spiritual upbringing. Yes, your parents died for you. You were persecuted for your beliefs, culture, and race. So that's how you died. You ended up being persecuted. You were good with animals or worked with them. Again, referencing you had animals. You had no children or you never married. You had children was on the back is what I'm going with because we have a baby up here. I feel like you did have one thief. Talking about your karmic, the person you loved stole a lot of money, tried to tarnish your name. The CFO, you were like the chief financial officer. You controlled the money, you controlled the purse, and so your spouse stole from you. You were short and petite. You got out of a bad and rough marriage in a time most didn't. You married again, and it was a very happy relationship. Oh, okay, so you were married twice. One to somebody very crappy who just wanted to steal your light, your love. But you got away from that, and you ended up marrying again, and it was a good relationship. So that's why you had love life up there. You lived through wars, which is very common in your time. Battle-led life, soldier, leader. You spent a lot of time fighting for causes. Could have been a knight, could have died in battle. You did get the knighted card. Oh. Let me back up. You had no children because you were male. You did have a child, but you did not birth them. They were trying to explain to me because I couldn't. I really felt like you were going towards the female vibe, but nope, you were a male. You could have been knighted. You fought many battles. You wrote books and spoke to many people about religious and world issues. You were an activist and worked most of your life to serve others and make the world a better place. Look at you. You're one of the good ones out there, pile number 3. You got hippie here. Definitely a healer. Grounded to the roots, like to drink tea and be, everybody meditate and be calm, even though you were in wars, which is very unique and very hard to do. You were very shy. It was hard for you to open yourself up to people. You had a unique voice. Oh, you were a royal. Look at you. You could have married a royal as well. You were brave and strong. Uh-oh, you owned slaves. No bueno. And they're referencing you did have kids. You just didn't physically have them because you were male in this life. Get a few more and we'll close it out for you. They're moving stuff around. You also lost a child. Maybe that's why you didn't have kids. Like you did have a child and you lost it and didn't have any more. They could have been referencing that as well. You were the sweet one. You chose love over money and success and ended up more successful and rich than you could ever imagine. Good for you. That came out in every pile. It's all about choosing love. Maybe they just want you to choose what you love, who you love, what you love to do, because it's going to work out being better for you. You were accused of witchcraft, which makes a lot of sense if you were a shaman. So your spouse had some education, but you were very educated. You were a visionary, a psychic, fortune teller, or prophet. Again, backing up and then healer on the back. You loved being outdoors and liked animals on the back. Yeah. Being outdoors calmed and centered to you. Could have been an earth sign. Too many. 2 more, Spirit, and we'll close it out. Had children again, and then lost a child again on the back. You wrote plays and starred in them or worked with theater. I feel like that was your second spouse. Feared tyrant. That was the karmic one that was nasty that you got away from. You were single for a while before you found your second marriage. Anything else? I'm being compelled to keep going, so I will. You are beautiful or very handsome. Early AD is the time period. You were very gullible, which is why you fell for the narcissistic one. You were in the celebrity world, which is why they chased you. You had a battle buddy, somebody you were close to, a close friend. You were an athlete, which more about fighting because you were a knight. You suffered a lot in life. You watched people you loved die several times over, especially in war. You grew up poor. So, it's a lot. Basically, I feel like your overall message is to choose your love. Like, follow your heart. You might also be having someone in your life that's narcissistic and vain that you need to back away from. They could be warning you again. This could be a repeating thing that you haven't learned, to see this narcissistic side of people before you give them your heart. You're very gullible when it comes to love because you're a lover. You're a romantic, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need more of you in this life. So I hope this was helpful. Please give this a like, hit the subscribe button. If I am calling to you, I will see you all next time. Have a very Merry Christmas. If this is the only one you watch before Christmas, have a good year. In 2021, hopefully it's a lot better than this one. See you next time.